This is a CBC podcast.
2021 was a year of change for voters in Richmond County. A new slate of councillors putting in their first full calendar year, some new priorities for council meetings, and a new union for the staff. Today in our series of year-end interviews with those who influence life on our island, it's the warden for the municipality of the County of Richmond, Amanda Momberket. Here's her conversation with Steve.
Warden Momberket, welcome back.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
So listen, if we go back to the fall of 2020, voters in Richmond County voted for change, obviously, an entire clean slate of council. So what's some indication from your first full calendar year that change is what they got?
So I think, Steve, one of the first things I would point to are some of the accountability measures that we reinstituted as soon as council started back up again after the new slate of councillors was elected. And those were the simple things like reestablishing question period to our council agendas. We've implemented a new live stream option for in-person council meetings so that people can call in with their questions to still participate. We've added action items for review to our agendas as well, which helps us and helps the public keep on track of the decisions that we make and when those decisions are completed. So I think some of those basics are one of the first signs of change that we really implemented according to what we heard from the constituents when we were knocking on doors. That accountability piece and working together for a common goal, that those pieces were really important to constituents here in Richmond County because there had been a lot of discord at the council level, and so we're really happy to be kind of moving in that right direction in a more positive way.
So when you look back on that fateful decision to put your name forward, when you were just a regular person, before you were elected, before you were warden, and you look back at your first full calendar year, what is a project that really gave you a sense of satisfaction?
Well, there's a few I would point to. I mean, obviously our early days establishing that fire protection services agreement for Point Tupper in partnership with the town of Port Hawkesbury. It was a 10-year agreement. For us that felt very historic in putting what had been a very acrimonious issue between our two municipalities, putting it to bed for a good decade and making sure that the people and the businesses in Point Tupper were protected to the best of our ability. And so I look back at that and I look at how quickly we were able to come to that decision. I really felt strongly that was a step in the right direction, not just for Richmond County, but for the whole region. I think one of the most rewarding things, though, that I'm working on right now is probably the work that we're doing with our Accessibility Advisory Committee. As you know, I'm sure, Steve, municipalities are required to make all of their facilities accessible by the year 2030, and so we have until the end of March 2022 to have an accessibility plan in place. And we put a call out for volunteers. The response was overwhelming. After that, we joined forces with the Village Commission in St. Peters. So now we have a joint committee working towards this common goal of making Richmond County more accessible. And I have to tell you, the conversations and the direction that committee is taking this initiative is it's just knocking my socks off. They're really working hard. It's awesome.
You're listening to Information Morning. This is our year-end interview with Amanda Momberket, who is the warden for the municipality of the County of Richmond. Warden Momberket, you mentioned that people you felt were taking some encouragement from the fact that your council began working collectively right from the beginning in the fall of 2020, because there had been some acrimony, some discord, a lot of tension in the previous council. There was one area, and I know details fade as we go from one wave or the other, one spring to a winter, but there were some bumps in the road with your first budget. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it hasn't all been rainbows and unicorns, Steve. There's been some difficult moments at the council table. There are 5 councillors in Richmond County, each coming to the table with their own values, their own opinions, and their own knowledge base. And sometimes that makes for a spirited discussion, to say the least. But for the most part, things. I feel that the decisions we make are better informed because of those different backgrounds of the people who have come to the table together. Our budget, was the first budget that this new council had worked through. we took some extra time, specifically around the issue of, salary increases for staff. There was some acrimony around the table. I think everybody wants to be investing in the people who really are the heart and soul of our organization. But at the same time, as councillors, we recognize that we are in the middle. At that time, we were in the thick of a pandemic. I think we were just coming fresh out of lockdown, if we weren't still in it. Council took a bit of a roll back in terms of some of the funds that we would collect. We knew that taxpayers were going to have a little bit of a hit there as well. We had a 1 cent tax increase, and so we were looking for staff to also share in a little bit of that pain with us. And I think what ended up happening there was it created some acrimony, between council and staff. So that's something that we need to be working on, I think, more actively. We're looking at now, they've voted to form a union, and that is still underway. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, that's going to be one of the best things that could have happened, because really, our feeling was, certainly from my perspective as a councillor at the table, was that there didn't seem to be the kind of regularity. It was kind of an every 2 years thing, except for sometimes they wouldn't, they would forego it. So I'm definitely the kind of person that I would like to provide regularity in those types of decisions so that people know what to expect year after year. So I'm really looking forward to the results of that, of the bargaining and moving forward once the unionization is in place.
Well, and what is the status of bargaining? As you mentioned, the staff took a deferment on salary raises during the pandemic year. This year, the budget went back to the table, and they ended up getting less of an increase this year. They voted to unionize. What's the state of the negotiations with Richmond County staff right now?
So it's still very much underway, and so I can say progress is being made, but we're not there yet. And I'm sure once we are, we'll be the first ones to be talking about it, because I think it's going to be a really great step forward.
So, what's a priority for you as you enter 2022?
So I would say we have a couple of priorities. I mean, council had decided in this first budget to continue to invest in some of the most pressing healthcare issues, which is of course related to the recruitment of physicians to our area. We've got a partnership with the town of Port Hawkesbury through an organization called the Cape Breton South Recruiting for Health, and they over the last couple of years have been doing some really great work in terms of attracting healthcare professionals to our region. But there's still a lot of work to do as we face, retirements and shortages in, the sector everywhere from, our long-term care facilities to family physicians. So lots of work to be done there. And, I think I was really pleased that council decided to continue to invest in that vein. I think we've also got some work to do on the housing front, to be looking at creative options, to work with our provincial partners, community partners, to see what can be done to alleviate that crisis. I think overall, Steve, what I would point to is this council has decided to embark on a strategic planning refresh. We've got a plan that takes us out to, I believe, 2024, 2025, something like that. But when this new council was elected, really, like I said earlier, we are brand new to the table. We're all coming with different backgrounds, different perspectives, and we felt it would be wise for us to kind of do a refresh of that plan and decide what our priorities are as a council, based on certainly the wonderful feedback that we got from constituents during the campaign and in the year that we have been in office since then. So I'm really looking forward to that process, and we'll see that get underway likely later in January.
Warden Momberkat, thank you very much for your time. Certainly something we'll be talking about in the new year. Best of the season to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steve.
Amanda Momberkat is the warden of Richmond County and the councillor for District 4, which takes in River Bourgeois and St. Peters.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.